Welcome back, everybody, and today we're going to be making a couple jerkbaits. I hope you enjoy the video, and thanks for watching. So in case you guys are wondering, this is the kind of kit that I get for my Dremel. Some guys like to use wood carving knives to shape out lures and different pieces, but I always found it easier to use the Dremel kit. This kit specifically comes with smaller bits that you could use for making the eye holes, also bigger pieces that you can use to shape out the body, and all kinds of other attachments that will make it a really easy process. So like always, if you guys are interested, all the things that I use in today's video, including this kit, will be linked in the description. I've gotten some questions in the past on what I look for when I'm drumming and how to shape out the body. For me, I don't really draw any lines. I just kind of do it by feel and kind of eye it up. Pretty much just take off all these sharp edges right away. So I kind of just ride the Dremel along those sharp sides and smooth it out. And any part that seems finished, like this outside shinier part of the wood, I take that off and make sure that it's the shape that I want it to be. Really just kind of eye it up. If you take more material off here, then you want to do the same to the other side and just try to make it look as even as possible. And this one I already did for a little bit. Obviously it's still very rough, but this is the idea. You just kind of take away those sharper edges and smooth it down to try to make it even on both sides and look like the shape of the lure that you want. So I'm debating right now with this lure whether or not I want to do 3 treble hooks or 2 treble hooks. I have these size 8 smaller ones here, and I think that looks pretty neat, and the extra treble hook will increase the hookup chances with this lure. I'm not sure if it'll be too much though, and if I could just get away with 2. These are size 6 treble hooks. I've made this lure before, actually on the channel a couple years ago, and I did 3 treble hooks, and I think it worked out pretty well, and the lure still had great action and ended up working well. So let me know in the comments if you guys have a preference and if there really is a difference between having 2 or 3 treble hooks on your jerkbait. But I'm going to go with the 3. I marked out where all the hook hangers and line ties are going to go. Here's the line ties, the 2 bottom hook hangers, and then the 2 tail hook hangers. For the weight in this lure, I'm going to add 2 lead split shots. One's going to be a little bit bigger, and that's in front of this first hook hanger, while the other one's going to be right behind that first hook hanger, a little bit smaller. This will allow the lure to sink just below the surface level, and we don't want to add too much because we also have those 3 hooks and also the split rings on each of those hook hangers. For sealing those holes of lead, we're going to add baking soda and thin super glue. base coat of white. Since we made two lures, one of them I was thinking is going to be a little bit lighter, so this one's going to be a shad paint scheme, while the other one's going to be a bass paint scheme. This one I added a neon green lateral line here, and then I'm going to go over with silver scales and then add some more bigger scales on the top. So this should be the brighter one, while the other one's going to be a darker, more natural color. So now we're going to do something that I've never tried before, and that is try to make these shad scales that I've seen other lure makers do. I'm going to spray towards the head with black and then towards the tail with silver, and try to get these bigger scales where half of them are black and then half of them are silver. It makes this pretty neat look, so let's give it a try. In case you guys are wondering where I found this mesh for making the scales, this I actually found while on a hike in the woods, just randomly laying there. And this mesh I actually got off an old backpack, the water bottle holder, and I just cut it out, and it works pretty well for scales. So whenever you look around for it, there's usually a lot of really cool patterns that you can find in pretty much anything. So it's looking pretty good, but it definitely needs some more colors. So I'm going to add this Wicked Metallic Fastback Green, and this is going to be the color that I think fixes it up pretty well. I'm going to put it on the top here, maybe on the fins, I'm not sure yet, but other than that, we're almost done. So that's pretty much it for this lure. I have a couple more details to add, but I'll just do that off camera and then show you guys the end once it's all clear coated. I'm going to get started with this next lure, and I'm going to go for a bass look, maybe a smallmouth bass with some red eyes. I think that would be pretty neat, so let's get started. Starting with Pearl Lime Green. So I made this janky little stencil here, and I'm going to try to put it on this over this scale mesh and see how it turns out. Hopefully these sporadic cuts resemble the middle line that go across a bass. I'm just going to go lightly with some black and then maybe go in and hand paint some more fine lines. So I added a few more details, just the pearl white scales on the bottom here, the fins, and also the gill plates, same way that I did the other lure. Next step is to add some pearl green on top of this lure, and then we're going to add some pearl black. Now that both lures are painted, I just have to add a clear coat, add some eyes, and I'll put on the hooks and show you guys the finished product. Now it's time to clear coat our lures. I'm going to be using this UV resin and then putting it on the lure turner and then the UV curing box. The lure turner allows everything to kind of set and lay evenly before it's fully hardened in the UV curing box. I made both these things on my channel, so if you are interested, go check out those videos. Unfortunately, right now my test tank isn't full of water, so I had to test inside. The lures ended up working really well. They're suspended the right way and put the lip in position to be able to allow it to work. It also readjusts itself, so if it lands on its side, it can correct it and land belly down. And both lures seemed to be very consistent with how they sank. The shad sank a little bit more than the bass, but overall they were very similar. Well, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I plan on making more lures and going fishing this summer, and with that, creating more videos. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. See you next time.